Tackle from behind, loses the ball, it's rolling around. Can Cozad fall on? They finally force a turnover.
He's at the 50, he breaks it back, comes back across the grain. He's gonna go. Hail Caesar.
Pummels of football coming up with it is Gothenburg, and that's going to be a return for a touchdown. Makes the catch at the 35, breaks a tackle, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown Loomis.
Welcome back to the Press Box Preview. It is week 9 of high school football here on KRVN. John Willis, Scott Foster with you. Couple different things going on. Postseason time for 8-man football, 11-man, 6-man. They have just 1 week left in their regular season. Scott, it is an exciting time right now for some high school ball.
Boy, and we had some great games last week too. Alma beat Highline, which was a big one to get into the playoffs, 64-34. Hastings narrowly beat Lexington in a tough one, 13-12. Maywood Hayes Center beat Bertrand in an upset, 32-20 there. Broken Bow hung in there against Central City, losing 34-20, which sets them an interesting game with them this week against Gothenburg. And Scotts Bluff beat McCook 21-7 in a top 10 matchup in Class B. Also, Southwest beat SEM 65-30 in another top 10 matchup. So lots of big games last week.
Yeah, for 8-man, a lot of playoff implication. That Maywood Hayes Center upset over Bertrand, that kind of knocked them out of the playoffs. And so just a couple of big games that really decided some things. Now, this week we have 2 playoff games on Thursday and then a week 9 11-man matchup on Friday. Let's start with the Thursday games. First up on Cami Country at 5 p.m. on Thursday, it's Elgin Public Pope John. They are at Overton. But when you look at the playoffs, 32-man bracket, that 16-17 matchup is always theoretically the best one. Scott, this is an Overton team that narrowly lost to Loomis last week, but they still get a chance to host, and I'm sure that's just massive for them.
Oh, that's a big deal. You don't want to have to drive all the way up Highway 14 to go to Elgin. So it's a big one. And listen, they've been made better by being in the D2-8. It's such a tough district, maybe the best in the state. They've been able to throw the ball around a little bit. Eli Luther at 342 yards and 5 touchdowns against Loomis. Pretty well-tested Overton team. When you look at 8-man football, I think the epicenter of 8-man football is in the central part of the state. And so there's not that east side bias in this one. I like their chances.
Yeah, all 3 of their losses to playoff teams. This is a team that has seen a lot of great teams, so it should be a good one. They take on an Elgin Public Pope John team that is 6-2. Their 2 losses are to playoff teams as well. And this is one of those matchups, if you're looking at it for Overton, you just don't know what you don't know. It's kind of difficult to scout with no familiar opponents.
Yeah, that is a difficult, but that's kind of what makes the playoffs fun, right? It's that idea of you're going up against somebody you don't know, but we can watch film. We can learn things. Pretty good rushing team, averaging 145 yards on the ground. Grady Druke is a workhorse, 696 yards rushing and 9 touchdowns. Play nice defense, get some turnovers. It's probably a pretty darn good game.
Yeah, talked with their defensive coordinator / co-head coach. They have 2 head coaches, and we're talking with Matt Hughes, said really like how their defense, too, has been playing. 12 interceptions defensively, 14 total turnovers. These 2 teams did meet back in 2011 in the playoffs, with the Wolfpack winning 40-12, so we'll see how this one goes on Thursday. All right, Deshler's at Elm Creek. That'll be at 7 p.m. on 880 KRVN, another D2 8-man playoff game. Well, how about the Elm Creek Buffaloes? 6-2. They have won 5 straight games headed into the playoffs, and they have also earned the right to host, being the 15th seed, and it has really been a great run for them.
It really has. You take a look at riding the ship after 2 consecutive losses. They've really put it together. Coach says they are super positive, excited to take this one on. They're feeling good and confident. Keston Beavers, what a year he's had. They never thought he could get almost 1,000 yards, and he's really done well. And their offensive line and their defensive lines have been very good also.
And they have been in 4 games this year decided by 10 points or less, so they know how to win some tight ball games.
Including a huge one with Wilcox Hildreth, which really was a playoff game for them. They needed to win that game probably to get in, and they treated it as a playoff win and got it.
And with Elm Creek winning that game, they got the right to host too, which I'm sure big for them. They face a 6-2 Deshler team. They are the 18th seed. This is a team that's also been in close games, 3 decided by 10 or less, and just another team you don't know until you know, but they do have one familiar opponent.
They do. They both played Wilcox Hildreth. They've both won that game, both close games. Yep. This is one of those games, don't get real comfortable because it may not take a long time. Both teams going to want to run the football. Interesting that Deshler, the Dragons, do it in a different way. They'll go a lot of unbalanced line, a lot of wildcat. They got a kid by the name of Caleb Siebler who did not play in 3 games. They've blown people out so much that he hasn't played a whole lot. He's still got 67 tackles and 24 tackles for loss. This guy is a horse up front. Braxton Peterson, Quincy Orm have rushed for 1,300 yards together. It's a ground and pound game in Elm Creek.
These two teams have not met in the Max Preps era, so it'll be exciting to see these two match up. All right, Friday game. Cozad is at Minden. That'll be at 7 p.m. on 880 KRVN. Now, it's been an up-and-down year for the Haymakers, but with that tough schedule, they face so many good teams. They've still hung around in this playoff race at 4-4. Cozad enters this week 17th in wildcard points, so they will need to win and maybe need a little bit of help, but there's still some things to play for the Haymakers.
Strength of schedule plays a big role in your power points for sure, and they have played one of the toughest schedules around. They had a switch in quarterback. Ollie Davis has taken over at quarterback. He had a great game against Holdridge, 16 out of 24 passing for 335 yards and 5 touchdowns. Pretty good debut there, Ollie. But in their defense, who struggled a bit down the stretch, was opportunistic again, getting some turnovers, and they pitched a shutout against Holdridge.
Now they face a Minden team that is 2-6, and they looked pretty solid to start the season, but have kind of struggled as of late, and a lot of that can be attributed to injuries. Last week, 6 starters were out. This week, it'll be about 5, and so the injury bugs definitely hit the whippets.
Yeah, it's been hard. They've struggled to find an offense that worked, but they've got 3 different rushers with over 400 yards. Parker Hatch, Caleb Schwenke, and Logan Verbeck. Verbeck played well last week against Gothenburg. So the Whippets not going to throw the ball around a whole lot, but they're hoping their defense can keep it close here against Cozad.
Yeah, and this is a series that no matter how good the teams have been, these have been some close games. Cozad is 12-4 versus Minden since 2004 and won 20-7 last year before Minden had won the previous 3. All right, taking a look at some of our other area games to watch. Obviously, a lot going on with the playoffs on our sister stations. K-Bear, they'll have 2 playoff games on Thursday. Arcadia Loop City at McCool Junction and Windside at Sand Hills Thedford. Also, Cambridge at Loomis will be on our sister station, KUVR. On Friday, Gothenburg is at Broken Bow on K-Bear. Chase County's at Holdridge on KUVR. Man, there's a lot to look at for this week, both with the playoffs Thursday and then some end-of-season games on Friday.
Yeah, big deals here. The Gothenburg-Broken Bow game is interesting to me because Broken Bow is they've figured out they're going to run the ball, they're going to pound it at you. Gothenburg likes to do the same thing, but I think this is a Broken Bow team that love to play the spoiler role here. Gothenburg needs the win to get a chance maybe to host. They fall into 10th even after a win. So they got to get a win to try to host, so we'll see on that one. The other game I'm looking for is the Something's Gotta Give game over on KUVR as Chase County and Holdridge play each other, both teams looking for win number 1.
Couple games I'm looking at. A Thursday game, a playoff game. Cambridge is at Loomis. We saw those 2 teams play in the regular season. It was a blowout for Loomis, but I'm sure Cambridge is maybe hungry at a rematch.
Can they bring that 1975 team back again and do a reunion?
And so I'm sure Cambridge is chomping at the bit for a second chance here at the Wolves. Another D2A district matchup, this time in the playoffs. And then another top 10 matchup in the 6-man ranks. Wallace is at SEM. Wallace is 9th right now in the coaches poll. SEM is 5th, and so that should be another great 6-man game. And SEM, they've lost a couple games now, and so they probably would like to win this one and get a chance to host some playoff games.
Coming off a loss there, so yeah.
Well, that'll do it for this Week 9 edition of the Press Box Preview. Again, this week it's D2 playoff action on Thursday. Elgin Public Pope John is at Overton. That is kickoff at 5 p.m. That'll be on Cami Country. Jacob Roth and myself will be on the call. At 7 on 880 KRVN, it's Deshler at Elm Creek with Scott Foster and Jason Jorgensen on the call. And on Friday, it's 11-man regular season finale time as Minden hosts Cozad. That'll be at 7 on 880 KRVN. Jacob Roth and myself will bring you all of the action. Enjoy this week's games, and we'll talk to you next week.